Shamash had set a stated time. In the morning I will let loaves of bread shower down, and in the evening a rain of wheat. Go inside the boat, seal the entry. That stated time had arrived. In the morning he let loaves of bread shower down, and in the evening a rain of wheat. I watched the appearance of the weather. The weather was frightful to behold. I went into the boat and sealed the entry. For the caulking of the boat, to Puzuramuri, the boatman, I gave the palace together with its contents. Just as dawn began to glow, there arose from the horizon a black cloud. Adad rumbled inside of it. Before him went Shulat and Hanish, heralds going over the mountain and land. Eragal pulled out the mooring poles. Forth went Ninurtar and make the dikes overflow. The Anunnaki lifted up the torches, setting the land ablaze with their flare. Stunned shock over Adad's deeds overtook the heavens, and turned to blackness all that had been light. The land shattered like a pot. A day long the south wind blew, blowing fast, submerging the mountain in water, overwhelming the people like an attack. No one could see his fellow. They could not recognize each other in the torrent. The gods were frightened by the flood and retreated ascending to the heaven of Anu. The gods were cowering like dogs, crouching by the outer wall. Ishtar shrieked like a woman in childbirth. The sweet-voiced mistress of the gods wailed. The olden days have elves turned to clay, because I said evil things in the assembly of the gods. How could I say evil things in the assembly of the gods, ordering a catastrophe to destroy my people? No sooner have I given birth to my dear people than they fill the sea like so many fish. The gods, those of the Anunnaki, were weeping with her. The gods humbly sat weeping, sobbing with grief, their lips burning, parched with thirst. 6 days and 7 nights came the wind and flood, the storm flattening the land. When the 7th day arrived, the storm was pounding. The flood was a war. The sea calmed, fell still, and whirlwind and flood stopped up. I looked around all day long. Quiet had set in, and all the human beings had turned to clay. The terrain was as flat as a roof. I opened a vent, and fresh air and daylight fell upon the side of my face. I fell to my knees and sat weeping, tears streaming down the side of my nose. I looked around for coastlines in the expanse of the sea, and at 12 leagues there emerged a region of land. On Mount Nimush the boat lodged firm. Mount Nimush held the boat, allowing no sway. One day and a second, Mount Nimush held the boat, allowing no sway. A third day, a fourth, Mount Nimush held the boat, allowing no sway. A fifth day, a sixth, Mount Nimush held the boat, allowing no sway. When a 7th day arrived, I sent forth a dove and released it. The dove went off, but came back to me. No perch was visible, so it circled back to me. I sent forth a swallow and released it. The swallow went off, but came back to me. No perch was visible, so it circled back to me. I sent forth a raven and released it. The raven went off and saw the waters slither back. It eats, it scratches, it bobs, but it does not circle back to me. Then I sent out everything in all directions and sacrificed a sheep. I offered incense in front of the mountain ziggurat. 7 and 7 cowled vessels I put in place, and into the fire underneath I poured reeds, cedar, and myrtle. The gods smell the savor. The gods smell the sweet savor and collected like flies over a sheep's sacrifice. Just then Bella Tilly arrived.
She lifted up the large fly's beads which Anu had made for his enjoyment. You gods are surely as I shall not forget this lapis lazuli around my neck. May I be mindful of these days and never forget them. The gods may come to the incense offering, but Enlil may not come to the incense offering, because without considering he brought about the flood and consigned my people to annihilation. Just then Enlil arrived. He saw the boat and became furious. He was filled with rage at the Igigi gods. Where did a living being escape? No man was to survive the annihilation. Ninurta spoke to valiant Enlil, saying, Who else but Ea could devise such a thing? It is Ea who knows every machination. Ea spoke to valiant Enlil, saying, It is you, O valiant one, who is the sage of the god. How could you bring about the flood without consideration? Charge the violation to the violator. Charge the offense to the offender. But be compassionate lest mankind be cut off. Be patient lest they be killed. Instead of your bringing on the flood, would that a lion had appeared to diminish the people. Instead of your bringing on the flood, would that a wolf had appeared to diminish the people. Instead of your bringing on the flood, would that famine had occurred to slay the land. Instead of your bringing on the flood, would that pestilent error had appeared to ravage the land. It was not I who revealed the secrets of the great gods. I only made a dream appear to Atrahasis, and thus he heard the secret of the gods. Now then, the deliberation should be about him. Enlil went up inside the boat, and grasping my hand, made me go up. He had my wife go up, and kneel by my side. He touched our forehead, and standing between us, he blessed us. Previously, Utanapishtim was a human being, but now let Utanapishtim and his wife become like us, the gods. Let Utanapishtim reside far away, at the mouth of the rivers. They took us far away, and settled us at the mouth of the rivers. A chance at immortality. The story of the flood ends. Utanapishtim now addresses Gilgamesh again. Now then, who will convene the gods on your behalf, that you may find the life that you are seeking? Wait, you must not lie down for 6 days and 7 nights. As soon as he sat down, with his head between his legs, sleep like a fog blew upon him. Utanapishtim said to his wife, Look there, the man, the youth who wanted eternal life. Sleep like a fog blew over him. His wife said to Utanapishtim the faraway, Touch him, let the man awaken. Let him return safely by the way he came. Let him return to his land by the gate through which he left. Utanapishtim said to his wife, Mankind is deceptive and will deceive you. Come, bake loaves for him and keep setting them by his head, and draw on the wall each day that he lay down. She baked his loaves and placed them by his head, and marked on the wall the day that he lay down. The first loaf was desiccated, the second stale, the third moist, the fourth turned white, the fifth sprouted grey mold, the sixth is still fresh, the seventh. Suddenly he touched him, and the man awoke. Gilgamesh said to Utnapishtim, "The very moment sleep was pouring over me, you touched me and alerted me." Utnapishtim spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, "Look over here, Gilgamesh, count your loaves. You should be aware of what is marked on the wall. Your first loaf is desiccated, the second stale, the third moist, your fourth turned white, the fifth sprouted grey mold, the sixth is still fresh, the seventh, and that instant you awoke." Gilgamesh said to Utnapishtim the faraway, "Oh woe! What shall I do, Utnapishtim? Where shall I go? The Snatcher has taken hold of my flesh. In my bedroom death dwells, and wherever I set foot there is death too. Home empty-handed." Utnapishtim said to Ur-Shanabi the ferryman, "May the harbor reject you. May the ferry landing reject you. May you, who used to walk its shores, be denied its shores. The man in front of whom you walk, matted hair chains his body. Animal skins has ruined his beautiful skin. Take him away, Ur-Shanabi, bring him to the washing place. Let him wash his matted hair in water like aloe. Let him cast away his animal skin and have the sea carry it off. Let his body be moistened with fine oil. Let the robe around his head be made new. Let him wear royal robes worthy of him, until he goes off to his city, until he sets off on his way. Let his royal robe not become spotted. Let it be perfectly new." Ur-Shanabi took him away and brought him to the washing place. He washed his matted hair with water like aloe. He cast off his animal skin, and the sea carried it off. He moistened his body with fine oil and made a new robe for his head. He put on a royal robe worthy of him until he went away to his city, until he set off on his way. His royal robe remained unspotted, it was perfectly clean. Gilgamesh and Ur-Shanabi boarded the boat. They cast off the Megalo boat and sailed away. A second chance at life. The wife of Utnapishtim the faraway said to him, "Gilgamesh came here exhausted and worn out. What can you give him so that he can return to his land with honor?" Then Gilgamesh raised a punting pole and drew the boat to shore. Utnapishtim spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, "Gilgamesh, you came here exhausted and worn out. What can I give you so that you can return to your land?" "I will disclose to you a thing that is hidden, Gilgamesh. A secret, I will tell you. There is a plant like a box thorn, whose thorns will prick your hand like a rose. If your hands reach that plant, you will become a young man again." Hearing this, Gilgamesh opened a conduit to the Apsu and attached heavy stones to his feet. They dragged him down to the Apsu, they pulled him. He took the plant, though it pricked his hand, and cut the heavy stones from his feet, letting the waves throw him onto the shores. Gilgamesh spoke to Ur-Shanabi the ferryman, saying, "Ur-Shanabi, this plant is a plant against decay, by which a man can attain his survival. I will bring this to Uruk heaven, and have an old man eat the plant to test it. The plant's name is The Old Man Becomes a Young Man. Then I will eat it and return to the condition of my youth. At 20 leagues they broke for some food. At 30 leagues they stopped for the night. Seeing a spring and how cool its waters were, Gilgamesh went down and was bathing in the water. A snake smelled the fragrance of the plant, silently came up and carried off the plant. While going back, it sawed off his casing. At that point, Gilgamesh sat down, weeping, his tears streaming over the side of his face. Console me, O ferryman Shanabi. For whom have my arms labored, O Shanabi? For whom has my heart's blood roiled? I have not secured any good deed for myself, but done a good deed for the line of the ground. Now the high waters are considering 20 leagues distance. As I was opening the conduit, I turned my equipment over into it. What can I find to serve as a marker for me? I will turn back from the journey by sea and leave the boat by the shore. Deeds over death. At 20 leagues they broke for some food. At 30 leagues they stopped for the night. They arrived in Uruk heaven. Gilgamesh said to Ur-Shanabi the ferryman, "Go up, Ur-Shanabi, onto the wall of Uruk and walk around. Examine its foundation. Inspect its brickwork thoroughly. Is not even the core of the brick structure of kiln-fired brick? And did not the 7 sages themselves lay out this plan? 1 league city, 1 league palm gardens, 1 league lowlands, the open area of the Ishtar temple, 3 leagues, and the open area of Uruk, the wall encloses." The story of Gilgamesh's quest ends suddenly where it began, echoing the words of Tablet 1, which marvel at his extraordinary achievements. At one level, the text indicates that Gilgamesh finds a kind of immortality after all, but only the relative immortality earned by a physical creation, the wall of Uruk, that will outlast him. One should not deduce from this that for the Mesopotamians transcendence over death was available only for those involved in monolithic public works. For at another level, one is to understand that Gilgamesh's self-knowledge, as expressed in his tablet of the epic deposited in the foundation of that wall, is what really remains. The final lines consciously hark back to the beginning of the epic, a paean in praise of Gilgamesh's wisdom and understanding of life.